With me I have Coach Skip Hall, former BSU coach and also former Washington University coach. So, Dr. Hall, you have several principles that you applied as a coach, but they also apply to personal life and also in business.
Exactly, and I like to call it coaching the doctrine of excellence, because those same principles and practices apply. They were good back in the day, they're good today. People use them in business, you can use them at home. So I've spent the last 15 years, after my 30-year coaching career, I've spent the last 15 years speaking to businesses, organizations.
Welcome back. We had Coach Skip Hall, and he was talking to us about our mindset and motivation and drivers, having that passion that will help us to reach excellence. And there's a lot of things within us that actually can interfere with that, and that can be belief systems, it can be different traumas that took place in prior parts of our lives, but it can also be things that happen even before we were born. And how that takes place is that they actually noticed you had the survivors of the Holocaust and all the people that dealt with that horrendous trauma, and they were affected physically and obviously they were dealing with a lot of emotional and mental issues from it. But then they saw that in the generations after, they were actually dealing with the same kind of symptoms, the same kind of anxiety, same kind of health problems, even though they did not experience it. And what they've seen is it's kind of like a homeopathic principle, where the more you dilute it, the stronger it gets. And they saw that in the third generation, it was actually the strongest impact from what had happened prior. So let's say then, for instance, the emotion fear, which is a powerful and also incapacitating emotion. And so you're dealing with all this fear, and then you have a child, and that emotion actually will then alter our genetic code. So it will actually impact how our genes are made. And the genes, what they do is that they are the ones that helps us to create then protein, and protein is what we are made out of. And protein also, you have the digestive or the different enzymes. And the enzymes are what's called the workers of the body. So the emotions, prior emotions, will then impact our genetic coding, which will then impact how our proteins are made, which also impacts our enzymes. And the enzymes, as I said, they are the ones that help to repair tissue, they're the ones that give us energy, and they're the ones that helps to kill off infection. So they do all these things within our body. So that is why it's so crucial to be able to remove these different emotional blocks. And it can be any kind of emotion. You can have guilt, you can have anger, and all these different triggers, they actually travel through family lines. So when people come into me and they are dealing then with a health issue, let's say, for instance, that the liver is having a problem. What they've seen is that there are certain emotions that tend to be connected to certain organs. And like, for instance, anger tends to be one of the emotions that trigger the liver. And the way that it functions is that an emotion will then impact the different neurotransmitter makeup of the brain and the signaling of the brain. So it will actually then impact the area of the brain that relates to the liver. And that will then decrease the amount of nutrients that are then shuttled to the liver. That will decrease the circulation and also will decrease the ability of toxins to come out of the liver, which can then lead to a chronic liver issue, which will then also lead to then toxic buildup in the body, which can cause a lot of chronic health issues. An interesting factor also is that you have the mother side, and also you have the father side in a generation. And what they've seen is that the energy production, which is done in the mitochondria, is actually connected to if there are mother issues. So if you've been dealing with a lot of mother issues, then the energy production, the APT production within the cells, which takes place and within the mitochondria, will then be greatly reduced. If you're dealing with father issues, then it's something that's called methylation. I have to write tiny here, see if you can see it. Methylation. And that has to do then with your ability to detoxify and also get rid then of, it also has energy production, but a huge amount of how you code your genes, so to say. You can actually change the genetic makeup depending on how your methylation takes place. So this just to kind of show you a little bit how emotions will then impact then your physical well-being. So we'll be right back.